Hello everyone. Welcome you all to episode number 14 of Intimacy Laws. And I'm Rupam, founder and CEO of Achille Labs, creator of Lifehouse, and author of the book Intimacy Laws for Men, Volume 1, The Birth of the Lugal. And in episode 14, today's episode, we are going to continue with our understanding of sexuality. Yesterday, we already discussed about the key differences between the masculinity as well as femininity. In today's episode, we are going to first start with understanding why it is so important to understand what are the sexual phenomenon or what is the sexuality phenomenon of everyone, and why this understanding is extremely important. So we'll start with this. Now, see, we already have understood the law of energy and how energy cannot be created, but rather it transfers from one form to the other. Now, just because somebody is born as male and somebody is born as female doesn't make all that differences, right? The reason that it doesn't make all that differences is when you go into the society. Let's say you are going to college. There you have both males and females cooperating and working together. In such situations, in such conditions, such environments, we already know that there is a phenomenon called mirror neuron, whereby we try to mirror the people around us, and that is the reason we become physiologically more coupled with people near about us. And that is the reason in a home, as we already know, a lot of your heart rate and a lot of your thought process will be almost similar. Within the batchmates in a school and college, a lot of your physiological, pathological, and lots of your thought processes become similar. This phenomenon of physiological coupling makes sure that if, say for example, males and females are studying together, the females would be much more males-like and the males would be much more females-like. We also know that a lot of things that we do, a lot of our features, for example, cortisol, high cortisol for male, for example, more physical activity for male, for example, the growth hormone driven recovery of male, for example, less heart rate of the females, more estrogen of the females, and mood regulation. A lot of these things are all managed genetically. Therefore, we all are born with literally all the genes that makes us male and females, but not all the genes are active at any given instance of time. For example, when a child is born, its brain is yet not completely developed. It cannot stand up, it cannot speak, it cannot process data. So once the child is born, it doesn't have the speaking genes unlocked. Once the child is born, it cannot write, its hands are weak. It doesn't have those writing genes yet unlocked. When a child is born, its heart rate is something like 180, 240. So that's a completely different system. It's heart, lungs, they operate in a different ways. So that's a completely different genetic profile. Normal human beings, adult human beings will not be surviving with 140, 160 heart rate, continuous heart rate, right? So when a child is born, it has all the genes of standing, walking, working, thinking, speaking, writing, understanding, but these genes are turned off, and as the child grows, these genes gets unlocked. So even though while a child is born as either a male or a female, and yes, during the birth, the anatomical features are there as a male, as a female, but the child's those genes part of different chromosomes. We have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Males have one X and one Y chromosome, and females have two X chromosomes. Each chromosome has hundreds and thousands of genes. Each gene is like a software program which does certain things or regulates certain things in your body. So when the child is born, it does not have to sit or walk. That is the reason the genes that regulates our working process, sitting process, those genes are not yet turned on. And they are turned on as the child learns to sit, learns to stand, and so on and so forth. Therefore, just because one is born as a male or as a female doesn't make them male or female completely, because they are born with most genes being turned off. So as we grow, we have to turn on the genes in order to become completely man or a completely female. Now, let's take non-anatomical components one after the other once more. For example, males are expected to have more testosterone, less estrogen, but a female is expected to have more estrogen and less testosterone. However, let's say that a female wants to compete with a male. She is in the college, she is in the school, she wants to pursue a very aggressive career just as a male. So her body allows it because she still has certain amount of cortisol. However, this excessive work is something which her body is not meant to. So she unlocks the gene of stress management. She pushes herself, her body produces a lot of cortisol and then adrenaline, and then the testosterone increases. It is a stress condition. From yesterday's class, we already know that the longer your body remains in the stress, the faster you age. So when a female becomes 25, her biological age, because the body is working faster, right? Every cell is churning out more energy. So for the female body, the energy has to be churned in this fashion. But now they are pushing. You're pushing for career. You're pushing for more aggressiveness. You are unlocking your left brain. You are competing. Competition hormone is testosterone. Testosterone inhibits a lot of feelings and emotions. Now, because of this, let's say in a normal situations, your estrogen level is around 200 nanogram per deciliter, 200 ngdl, and testosterone is about 5 to 10 ngdl in the females. But now because you're pursuing, the testosterone level goes extremely higher. That's about 70, 80, sometimes it may cross 100. Now the body has to always maintain, a female body always tries to maintain a balance between the female hormone and the male hormone. So the more testosterone increases, the more estrogen also increases. Over a period of time, body becomes insensitive to estrogen, which is called estrogen resistance. And then you stop feeling. First, body produces a lot of excess estrogen. We also know that estrogen is a fat storage hormone because estrogen enables the females to store fat. So then what happens is when the testosterone increases, estrogen first increases, and then that balance completely goes out, and then the ovary stops producing eggs. It understands that reproduction is not your priority. That leads to PCOS and amenorrhea, a condition of temporary menopause in the females, because you are not female. I mean, you are not wanting to be to do things that a female does, and you are more interested in pursuing the male, for instance. So even though you are born with the female genitals, you have breast, you have vagina, but internally your body is now functioning as a male. So it's not male and female are equal, but internally you can make your body work like a male. Now, when you are testosterone driven, obviously, as you can understand, if your testosterone level is supposed to be 10 mgdl, it now goes to 80 mgdl because you are competing. Then in that situation, what happens is, we already know that facial hair, body hair is regulated by testosterone. So your facial hair, body hair, armpit hair, pubic hair, their growth increases, and because of estrogen insensitivity, the scalp hair starts falling. So there is a hair fall, and also your body churns out energy at a very higher pace, hoping that you will stop sometimes. It doesn't know why you are pursuing this, but it thinks that this is important. So it is moving very fast, and therefore your aging is faster. So when you become 25, you become 26. When you become 26, you become 28. 27, you become 30. 28, you become 31. So up to when you become 30, the female age becomes 35. And after 35, there is a genetic material. Okay, so you have a gamete which preserves the chromosomes, and every month it creates egg, and in the egg it makes a combination of these chromosomes, because you have two X chromosome sets, and if there is no alteration, then if you become mother, your child will just become a copy of yours, which is not desirable, and therefore there are alteration changes, and gamete actually keep these two bind by a genetic material. So your chromosomes pair is bind by a genetic material, and when the sperm fertilizes the egg, at that time this genetic material gets unbind. After the age of 35, this genetic material starts getting weaker in the females. Alright, and then therefore what happens is, because ovary keeps sending a lot of signal to your brain and all the body parts, there is no such thing as a breathing sense signal, because they operate at the energy level. It's an electromagnetic and electrochemical energy that heart, brain, ovary, everything exchanges. Alright, so this genetic material gets weaker. So now, even though you were born as female, even though you had the female genes, you did not unlock those genes, and instead you pushed your body more towards the masculine side. Now what will happen is, when you become 30, your aging, your biological age, original age, and I am leaving a tool, free tool, by means of which you can find out what is your aging by means of luminescence. So you will understand that your age is more than your chronological age. So at the age of 30, you will feel like 40. And no, 40 is not the new 30. 30 is the new 40. Alright. So you did not unlock that. Now, even though you have the female genital, because your body is testosterone driven, it is in the sympathetic nervous system, sympathetic mode, but female sexuality requires Parasympathetic activation, which is rest and recovery. Now, your sympathetic is higher and parasympathetic is lower. Sympathetic higher is something that male body should be in. Parasympathetic higher is something which female body should be in. But now your nervous system is acting like male nervous system. Because of this, your sexual functions, that is, everything is controlled by brain, those genes which gives you that sexual feeling, feeling like a girl, feeling the femininity, those feelings are completely inhibited. So even though you are a girl, you don't feel like one. You feel some kind of resistance. You feel more masculine. You feel more aggressive, more competent, just not feeling like girls. And because of this sympathetic dominance, your reproductive function completely gets impaired. Yeah, in the modern day, we have reached to many nonsenses. We have come up with things like freezing of the eggs. If you kill the girl inside a female, giving birth to a baby automatically doesn't make her a mother, does it? Because her genes, those were to be unlocked to become the mother, are not unlocked. And after the childbirth, she doesn't even feel the child. So yes, egg banks, egg freezing. There are many ways that we have learned to use our females. This is one of the ways. Coming back, so by the time you are 30, your body is already acting like a male. And how would you understand this? There is a male pheromone. When a male works hard, he gathers a lot of physical power, he is sweating, he produces a pheromone. There is a smell out of that pheromone, and you will observe that if you are pushing that harder, your body will be generating that smell, a very stinky smell. Females. So, even though you are born as a female, your body is releasing male pheromone. It's an odor which comes from the male. Feel extremely stinky, and you will use body odor. You will suppress that smell, you will alter that smell. But how will you alter the fact that your body is producing male hormones? Isn't it? And therefore, what happens in this state is, if you continue for this state, for example, for let's say 10 years, and then your ovary, which was meant to produce estrogen, which was meant to support you to become a mother, which is now feeling completely, which is functionless, because you might have already had menorrhea. A female would go through menorrhea, so the amenorrhea, which we call, which means that the cycles are also not happening. She is not bleeding for 2 years, 3 years, and then the ovary becomes so much of toxic that most of the times nowadays, at the age of 30, 35, there is a new trend of removing that ovary surgically. So anatomical difference is also gone. And if you are pushing further hard, the rate of breast cancer and breast removal is quite higher. So even those anatomically are removed. Of course, any such cancers or any such treatment would require the females to shed off their hair. So even that is gone. So now your bare fundamental of anatomical difference is also completely gone. And I am not coming to penis or vagina, because that's just 1% of the entire genes that makes you a female or makes a man. So when a female is not satisfied, she doesn't understand how beautiful a female body is, how fascinating a female body is, what are the beautiful things that can be done with the female body, how she can become a great creator, how she can become spiritual, how she can feel extreme sexuality and radiate that sexuality to the world, how a female can be in so much of peace, and when she tries to become male, the hormone has changed. Hormone changes would eventually lead to anatomical changes because your anatomy will stop supporting this aggressive hormones. So yes, you can look at a sandwich, call it a pyramid, eat that pyramid and claim that yes, pyramids are to be eaten. But the choice that you make of thinking that sandwich is a pyramid and pyramid is to be eaten, the consequences are going to be purely yours. So, hormones, anatomical changes. Now, a female is more like a male. Man and woman are not same. You can push your body with dumbness to function like a male. Coming back, let's do one experimentation. This is for my female students, or those of you who are female and listening to this podcast or video. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and try to see a red rose in front of your eyes for 10 seconds. See how hard it is? When you were trying to think about red rose, there are various other thoughts that will be crossing your brain. You may see the red rose pod, garden, everything. Let's try again. This is for my female students and those of you who are females. What we are going to do, take a deep breath, hold the breath, close our eyes and try to visualize a red rose just for 10 seconds. You found it hard? Various thoughts crossed? When the body is not optimal, a female cannot focus. Her brain has all the thoughts. So, even in a sexual setup, if you are with a male, even then your brain is thinking about various things. It will keep thinking about various things. So, brain will not be able to focus on your sexuality. Therefore, there won't be any feelings. There will be vaginal dryness because vaginal wetness is regulated by brain, by estrogen, by feelings. Now, try again to close your eyes, hold your breath. Why holding breath? Because by holding breath, we are activating our parasympathetic system. We know switch off is parasympathetic system, and try to visualize a red rose. See, it's hard. So even in a sexual setup, your brain is not getting fixed. It will not get fixed into that male. And your energy is shaking. You are already in anxiety. It is shaking. It's not focusing. That is the reason sexuality and understanding sexuality becomes extremely important. Females are to remain in the parasympathetic system. So in the parasympathetic system, the female body will release a lot of estrogen. The moment you are in a sexual setup, you'll start feeling the vaginal wetness. However, in the sympathetic dominance mode, you will feel a sensation in the clitoris. It's the testosterone or the androgen drives the clitoris circuit, and there is a reason for that. We will some other day cover that. So you will feel sensation in your clitoris, but you will not feel that sensation in your vagina. It is going to remain to be dry. And over a period of time, you will develop things like UTI, and you will develop things like dry vagina, vaginal itching. And so even though you're born with female, the genes that makes you, that gives you that femininity have not been turned on. Rather, the genes, those which were meant to become, meant to support the male, are turned on. So it's a female body, but there is a male inside. That is when a female's desire for homosexuality increases because she is more like a male inside, and her body desires for the other female bodies, because testosterone, high testosterone, is meant to seek the feminine energy. Even in a homosexual setup, which we call lesbianism, even in a homosexual setup, any girl by definition also have homosexuality. And I'm not coming to sandwich as pyramid as of yet, has the homosexuality when she has extreme amount of estrogen, which is maybe she could not fight. So one of the girls may be something who could not progress in her life, who wanted to become more masculine, but who failed. It's a girl who is sad. It's a girl who is broken. It's a girl who is down. So one of the partners would be very high in estrogen, and her testosterone level will collapse because it produced a lot of testosterone, and then it is not able to. At this moment, she's broken, depressed, completely down. She's extremely negative, and the other girl will have to be more testosterone driven, more victorious, more at a better position, and then you will both feel attracted to each other because it's a collapsed state of femininity, because here there is estrogen, but the psychology that needed for female self is not got developed here. It's a more or less male psychology. So collapsed femininity and increased masculinity is now getting connected in the female lesbian relationship or homosexuality. Not only that, now because there is no femininity, or rather the femininity genes are not being completely unlocked, there is something called paraphilia. So paraphilia goes very high. What is paraphilia? Is the desire to have more or less like abnormal sexuality. So you might feel voyeurism, you might feel group sex as a attraction, you might feel being dominated, and there are other paraphilia which has developed in human genes over the course of evolution. And therefore, because when somebody is living a life which is not hers, and somebody completely denounces her power, she has never failed, that she is aggressive, she is living a life and she's not able to understand what is going on, even though technically she is a female. However, biologically the entire body is acting like a male. So technically, a male cannot exist in a female anatomical body, and that is the reason that will lead to breast removal and ovary removal and other things, which will make the body itself more masculine for the body to support that femininity. Therefore, understanding sexuality is extremely important. This was hormones. Now, what else we know? Stress, cortisol. We understood that females have much lesser cortisol than the males. So, once you start pushing your body, your cortisol gets exhausted very fast, and therefore, and thereafter, it is almost like a very hard man without the support of the cortisol when the body starts going down, and there is no recovery after that stage. It's like you have removed the skin from the body. Yesterday we also learned about energy. When you are pushing, your heart rate is more. For more heart rate, you require more sodium plus ions. For sodium plus ion to channelize, your cells will become more negative. Of course, if the plus ions are to insert into the cells charge will have to be negative, right? So cells will hold more electrons. So sodium plus ion will come and it will take out of those electrons. So we know that positively charged ion means a negative body, and negative body always gives negative signal to the brain. When the brain gets negative signal, you always think negative. Your stress becomes fear. You think all the things, all the thoughts of death coming inside you, all the thoughts of being down, being disrespected, and every other thought. So you will not have a control over your thoughts. The reason you don't have a control over your thoughts is because you are pushing your body. Your heart rate would be close to 100 or above. You may see that. And in that case, it is in the sympathetic mode. More sodium ion has to get inside the sodium potassium pump in the heart, gets completely unstable. Your body is holding more negative charge. They are giving more negative signal to your brain, and the brain will be thinking more negative. Female body has to be high with potassium ions, but you altered that. So even at the cell level, it's working like a male. However, it's not only with ovaries, and it is not only with respect to breast or cells. Understand that each part of the body also requires oxygen. Blood carries those oxygen from the heart through arteries. Diameter of the female arteries is smaller. I mean, it's larger than the male arteries, because males are supposed to have higher blood pressure, because they are supposed to exist in the sympathetic dominance mode. Females are supposed to have little lesser blood pressure because it's in the parasympathetic mode. Body expects you to be little more in the rest side. So when you are pushing your body, cells are already negative, and sodium plus ions cannot carry that much of electron out. So then from your teeth, from your backbone and other places, from bones, calcium gets released, which is 2 plus ion, and they go sit inside the cells. So instead of sodium, now a lot of calcium channel gets active inside your body, and calcium enters into the cell and creates calcium oxide, which we call the microcalcification. That leads to a lot of shoulder pain, neck pain, that leads to backbone pain, weak backbone, weak hips, and also it increases the cardiovascular disease risk. The calcium index of you gets increased. So males were always very high risk of the cardiovascular disease, but now such females will be high risk of cardiovascular diseases. So the calcium at the ion level also, it is operating as a male, and because it is not meant to operate as a male, it will go into the calcium mode. One of the reason that breast has microcalcification, brain has microcalcification, is because of the calcium channel activation. When you become extremely negative, your cells become extremely negative, brain cannot handle that negativity, so it unlocks the calcium channel for the calcium to go and handle that negativity. Now, understand, when you are so negative, the brain is always getting the negative charge from the entire body, from toe to your feet. It is getting the negativity, and brain does have a potential. It's a neurons need to maintain a potential to handle that. So what happens is there will be like turmoils in the neurons. Neurons will connect, disconnect, because the action potential has changed due to that negativity. So you'll not be able to remember. Your memory will go down significantly. Memory is in the cerebellum part, in the back of the brain. So because of this turmoil over here in your head, what will happen is the neurons will not be able to connect properly, and therefore firstly this connection from the cerebellum will go down, and then the connection with the frontal part of the brain, which we call the prefrontal cortex, will go down. Our consciousness lies in the prefrontal cortex, and therefore your consciousness goes down. So over a period of time, it's not about men are equal to women, women are equal to men, they are not. And realizing your sexuality and unlocking those genes which are feminine is essential, is necessary. It is not a choice, it is necessary. And if you do not fulfill that necessity of your body and take a wrong choice, then of course body will unlock the compensatory mechanism. You will end up remaining like a male, though you will tell the world that girls can become successful. Internally you will know what is going on. You can fake it in the entire day. You can say whatever you want to say. In the night when you'll take the pillow, you will feel sad, depressed, rejected. And therefore, it is not about fighting, argument, debate. The logic is simple. Accept the beauty of the female body, the genes, understand how beautiful a female body, genes, hormone is, and live a great life of no disease. Parasympathetic system drives our immunity, very high immunity. The females will have no disease, life set up to the age of 100, feeling good, feeling things. Males have a shorter life because males have lower immunity because males are more sympathetic driven. So when you become in the sympathetic mode, Of course, the immunity falls, and when the immunity falls, females suffer as things like UTI to start with, to say one of the factors. And so each of them, they're not really they're not really pointing towards a problem. They're pointing towards the altered sexuality. The altered sexuality. And when your sexuality is altered, of course, your body would want to be like a male body. However, there are still some basic genes, because from your puberty, at least for 10 years, you might have had menstruated before the amenorrhea sets in. Our brain is only 3% of our body mass but takes 30% of the energy. So let's say you take 3 bread pieces, brain eats 1, rest goes to the body. For the females, ovary takes literally 25%, 20 to 25% of the energy, because reproductive function management is a very extensive energy management function. So when you put that one brain, now the reason the female brain is little different from the male brain is because if your male brain takes out one braid and ovary takes out one braid, then your body collapses, because ovary cannot compromise on that one braid. The brain will be taking less energy. For the females, brain takes less energy. Now, if you give brain that one braid, your ovary gets half braid, let's say, because body will manage. So both ovary will get weak. Body will also get weakened. You will feel exhaustion. You will feel tiredness. There is no debate in this. There is no argument in this. If you, with your thinking, think this is wrong, nothing changes. Not accepting your femininity is your choice, and consequences of your choices are entirely yours. So understand, we have to first become intimate to our genes. When you are in a homophilic environment, such as with a lot of male friends, your body starts going towards the masculinity. When you are pursuing what a male pursues, it goes towards the masculinity. The femininity dies, because let's say that if you supply one braid to your brain, in female brain it takes less energy, it compromises on the energy so that ovary gets the energy. But if you supply that complete braid to the brain, ovary doesn't get energy. It has to go out of your body. So only when, so now if you are, let's say, age of 35 and unfortunately going through this, I'm not saying that this is your fault. Yes, probably your parents, your seniors and other people misguided you. I completely agree that our society has pretty much used our females for their benefits, and that's the reason they have mitigated these lies. However, having said that, body always gives you chance. So life always tries to find a meaning. If you understand that meaning, a lot of the pain gets released. And then you can start living a new life, accepting yourself better. Yes, you don't become youth, but you become much more relaxed. You accept yourself. And then you feel more femininity, at least feeling that extreme energy of that femininity that is so soothing, so fulfilling. When you have that fulfillment, you get a masculine relationship. Coming back to the sexuality again. So, because estrogen regulates our mood, what happens? Yes, you suffer mood swing. We call that borderline personality disorder in the psychology. However, underneath mechanism is that you are pushing, competing, and that will completely distort that mood. And that's the reason when you tried to focus on the red rose, you could not. Females are to have a very comfortable mood, very happy inside. Then only your body is filled with parasympathetic system. But if your body is not that smooth, and if you are always aggressive, and if you are always competing, just like male, and you think that the male and females are equal, then under that situation, what happens exactly inside your body is just, you look at my energy, it's quite high. I'm spending a lot of energy, which I could have avoided. I could have become relaxed. Now, there are more potassium. My heart rate is lesser. And if I try to shout, or if I try to do faster, if I try to achieve things, push things, go chase dreams and all those things, then I am using a lot of energy, so I'll get that much more faster. Did you understand the difference between masculinity? I can talk faster, I can go faster, I can use my brain faster because I do not have the ovary, I do not have to feed one braid to the ovary. If I take three braids, one braid can be taken by my brain and two other braids can be going to my body. But you have an ovary, and therefore you have to give one braid literally to your ovary. So brain will sacrifice, take less energy, so that you can become female, feminine. Mother brain will try to adjust. Heart rate has slowed down. This is how female body should be. Potassium, low heart rate, parasympathetic system. Humans are not meant to be shouting, screaming, running, chasing, competing. You can do so, but that is not female. That is driven by the male hormone testosterone. Now at this stage, I am driven by the sympathetic dominance. There is a lot of testosterone. I am giving out a lot of energy. I am exhausting a lot of energy because my body has more cortisol. I can support this, but because female body has less testosterone and cortisol, if you push yourself to that state, you essentially get exhausted because most of your life your brain sacrificed, other body parts sacrificed just to manage your reproductive function. If the femininity genes are not unlocked, at least there is 10 years of menstruation that would happen. For some girls these days, even they meet an amenorrhea at a much early stage. You see how I am taking deep breath after pushing. So many girls at this stage has amenorrhea. Even at the age of 16, 15, we see all the cases all the time. And so when you become 30, 35, your genetic material gets weaker, that binding which binds the chromosome, and the signal that brain gets makes it feel depressed. The depression sets in. So yes, in order to feel the sexuality, the femininity. Just good dress, good makeup is not enough. You have to experience your feminine energy, to experience that calmness. You have to experience that zen mode, that beauty, that vaginal wetness, that peace in the brain, that flow of emotions. It's a beautiful, extraordinary things to feel, extraordinary body state to feel. If that feeling is taken away, then there is nothing. It's a default being then. Less feminine genes, it's a default being, devolution. Your brain acts lesser, your body acts lesser. It's not acting like feminine, and so over a period of time you will feel very disturbed, and that is the reason understanding yesterday's class and female body is very essential. There are many things that a female does which a male cannot do. Whenever you are chasing something, completely denying the feminine core, feminine self, and chasing something that a male chases, essentially it means that you are trying to follow up, catch up with them, prove to the world you are already negative. You have already rejected yourself. You have denounced yourself. You have said that, no, I am not less than a man. You never said to yourself, wow, so beautifully feeling. I don't have to chase anyone. I have so much of energy, so much of creative energy, such tranquility, such peace, feeling sensation in the breast, feeling sensation in the vagina, feeling sensation in your entire body, all the time of feminine energy. You completely denounce that. You are not experiencing that energy at all. And therefore, physical relationship is also the default physical relationship, which is paraphilia. And in those states, you are not exchanging enough energy, even in the physicality. Female body gives a lot of sense. As you were growing up, you might have noticed that, looking at those girls who are more beautiful, who gets more attention, would be giving you that insecurity. And when you don't feel your body, and when somebody else touches you and you don't feel that touch and your body, the aggression gets extreme. The body rejects. Your own body rejects you, your own mind rejects you, own spirit rejects you. You get rejected by yourself, you feel hollow. Sexuality is not how you dress or born. Sexuality it's not 5 things to do before sex, or 8 things that will help you grow your hair, or 15 things that will make your braid's life good, or 2 things that you must follow today. Those are clickbaits. Life is about meaning. Life is about feeling. Life is about energy. Life is about emotions. Life is about slowness, understanding. Life is not about jumping, running, competing. And if you do so, then there will be the cost. And therefore, experiencing that feminine energy becomes very, very important. All right. We will continue our session about sexuality tomorrow also, and I'll explain you how masculinity gets devolved. Today we discussed about the devolution of female sexuality and why females don't feel sexual, why females feel mood swings. It was all about the females. Because sexuality is a very complex topic, and I tried to go as deeper as possible and as easy as possible, try to explain you in a way that is possible. But this is not the end. We will have few more episodes on sexuality, but tomorrow's episode we will take on the male sexuality, and we will show how what is devolution and what is erection and things like that. Thank you for your time, energy, and thank you for searching for the meaning in life rather than 10 shortcuts that will make you more successful. Remember, success is equal to 1 divided by anxiety. What you are chasing is victory. Victory increases pride. Pride is not success. Success is tranquility. So with this, we come to an end of this episode, this class, this session. I believe that you would repeat this, you will hear this, you will take note, and then you will think, understand, reflect back in your life, look inward, not blaming, not rejecting yourself, but just look inward. Accept, become accountable, accept. Don't blame others, don't blame yourself, don't regret. As we progress, I will definitely tell you how to unwind those things which and get back your sexuality if you are at this stage. Thanks a lot. And to female students, if you think somebody has any of your female colleagues or acquaintances or any relationship needs to understand her condition, the sexual issues, you can please share the video with them, share the class with them, though few of the earlier classes would be required to follow, but you can do that. And you can check out with lot of other blogs in lifers.com blog, or you can also get your book which is being written by me, which makes you understand the life masculinity, in particular the depth and other things, intimacy with your profession, intimacy with your life, genetics, various things, from Amazon. I am leaving that description below, and if any one of you wants to just listen to the audio episode, the link to the audio podcast is also given below in the description. With that, we come to an end of episode number 14. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.